So good to be back. Thank you to Mother Paige for inviting me again, and to all of the crew that makes this happen. I know this is putting on a service is a big job, so thank you for having me today. So as Mother Paige mentioned, I'm Kathy Wilder. I have the great privilege of serving as Executive Director at Camp Stevens, and we are your diocesan camp for all of Southern California, and we're up in Julian. I did bring cookies and bread with me, so you don't actually have to go there to get it right now, but you're invited anytime. I do want to just take a moment to mention that today we're gathered on the traditional land of the Kumeyaay people who've been here for 12,000 years and 600 generations, which just feels amazing to me. Just want to honor and share their commitment to reconciliation and healing. Well, today really got me thinking about something from my childhood, which was that when I was a kid, I had a very keen sense of justice about the rights of children, about being a kid. And when I was in the second and third grade, I wore a button every day, let's stop touching my microphone at some point, that said, "Kids are people too." And I felt strongly about it. And while some adults kind of patted me on the head and thought it was cute, which I'm sure it was to some degree, I do remember the adults who listened and asked me questions and encouraged me to stand up for what I believed in. And when I think about what I was trying to do at that time was to really find a voice in a time in my life where I felt kind of at the mercy of my circumstances. You know, while my family looked really good from the outside, we were struggling at the time with my dad's alcoholism and my brother's mental illness and all the financial strain that went with that. And we were kind of alone in that at the time. And this really changed when I was 13, and my very courageous mom, who is a walking angel on earth, filed for divorce. And it was really uncomfortable and scary. It was the end of the 1980s. And she was really looked down upon, actually, by the people in our church. She even received hate mail from people who were leaders that she respected. Exactly. Yeah. You know, she stood her ground anyway, and she broke our world wide open. She tore down the temple of our traditions and constructs in our lives that made space for healing and transformation for all of us, even my dad. And don't get me wrong, it was not easy. Anyone who's been through something like this knows that this is not an easy path. We struggled, and at times it was painful. And she often reflected on this time as the hardest thing she had ever done in her life, but she would do it again in her heartbeat because it was her job to protect us and teach us to stand up for the people we loved, even when it was hard and an unpopular choice. In the gospel today, we find Jesus also breaking things open in a way that was very unpopular. He's flipping tables over, dumping money on the ground, releasing livestock, and getting pretty angry. This is not the angelic picture that you might have seen of Jesus that some would have you believe. I personally feel pretty connected to Jesus in this moment. It feels important to remember that nobody really knows who he is right now. This is the very beginning of his time walking his path with the disciples, the start of the 3-year path. And so here's this guy. No one knows or thinks of him as the Son of God or someone in power. He's a guy from a low-income family that's basically been disenfranchised his entire life. He was the child of a teen mom. And he's come to this temple for years for Passover, from the time he was a baby. And he's basically watched his family come in there and try to be obedient and follow the path that is expected of them, and in turn kind of be taken advantage of by the systems. They've been asked to pay for rituals that are required and to support leaders that really aim to dominate rather than support and protect the people that they're in charge of, that are in their charge. And Jesus' anger, his divine rage, as I like to call it, was rooted in his humanity, which in my opinion is his superpower. It is Jesus' deep connection to all people that drove him to push and pull and rage at times even on behalf of not just his own family, but the whole human family. And as civil rights activist and author Valerie Kaur says, divine rage is not about vengeance, it's about reordering the world. Tapping into our deepest connection to each other, loving beyond false borders and socially constructed boundaries might just be the way we're going to make a difference. Last December, I got to meet Stephanie Spellers. I'm not sure if you all know who she is. She's the canon for evangelism and reconciliation for the presiding bishop. She's also an author of several books and a very cool person in the world. And she wrote a book called The Church Cracked Open, Disruption, Decline, and a New Hope for the Beloved Community. And if you need a book, I will personally get it for you. It's really good. It's a great book. I've had a chance to meet her several times in person, and she just really, in the book and also in her life, presents the idea that this is our time to stand up for the human family by taking responsibility for the harms caused in the world, sometimes by the church, and an opportunity also in this time to be compassionate leaders in the healing process moving forward. The good news is that we have a role model in Jesus, who's like our roadmap. I think of Jesus' life and the stories of his life as being a roadmap to how to live. And we have a chance to channel his superpower and connect to our deepest humanity. I find when I do this that I'm more connected to myself. I feel more love in my community, and I absolutely feel closer to God. Canon Speller states, sometimes it takes disruption and loss to break us open and turn us back to God. If you've been up to Camp Stevens, you know that at our coffee and tea bar, which apparently is famous, I met somebody in North Carolina that was like, I've been to your tea, I've had your loose leaf tea, it's great. But we have a ton of mugs. We have mugs from people's houses, from churches. We have mugs from your thrift store here that I brought back. And recently, this last year, a new mug popped up with a new saying, and it's very relevant to today, I promise. And it says, stop trying to sit at the tables that Jesus flipped. Yeah, good one, right? Yeah. This really spoke to me because I have certainly found myself sitting at tables of power and privilege without even expecting it. And I'm sure throughout all of our lives we've felt that. We've been there in some way, shape, or form. And I will say in those times I felt most lost, most fearful, most untethered from myself and from God. Recently, we completed a listening project for our community in preparation for our strategic planning. And the project includes surveying and interviewing our community about who we are and what we do and what the community needs from us. And one of the outstanding themes was about religion's place at camp. And in this area, the overarching identified area for Camp Stevens was to take lead in cracking open systems and cycles and traditions that may have created barriers for participation, not just at camp, but for our church, our beautiful church. Our community wants us to help address systemic harms so that people can find a place of healing and ultimately belonging and love. And I think we can agree that every person deserves to know the radically generous, inclusive, expansive love of God. We're starting to do this work already with the great support of our St. Peter's Outreach Grant. Honestly, we couldn't do it without y'all. We do this through our racial reconciliation work, through programs like our recent Black Family Camp, our accessibility initiatives, including gender inclusion, building trail and access to our buildings, camp scholarships, employee equity grants, our creation care leadership around innovative energy solutions, and our advocacy and allyship work with the Kumeyaay neighbors. And this is just our start. This is before we even started our planning. And as I mentioned, this wouldn't be possible for us to do alone. None of this work can we do alone, or should we? We shouldn't be doing this alone. We have your support, we have community, we have the greater Episcopal Church. And I really believe, as an Episcopal community, we are ready to help build new tables. We can start by embracing the way of Jesus and live into our own superpower and our own deep human connection. And we're going to have to be courageous and take that lead in healing harms and standing up for all those we love and beyond. It won't be easy, and we will absolutely not be perfect as we do it. We'll need to change and grow and even break things open. But I know we can do it because we are going to do it together. Grace and peace to all of you.